What's up everybody, DFS Hero here, back with another video. Today we're going to walk you guys through our brand new tool as part of this massive update that we just released. There's a lot to talk about in general, so we're going to do those in various videos that we'll be recording today. The first one I want to walk through is the Contest Analyzer tool. So the Contest Analyzer is a new independent tool. It allows you to go back in time and check out past contests that you played or would have liked to play, and kind of just see how people played in the contest, what kind of strategies they used, how much money they made or lost, or the world is your oyster. So I clicked on the Contest Analyzer up here. I'm just going to go into MLB. I'm going to go to the 26th of July, specifically because our boy Steve took down the Minimax on that specific date. So when you first load your sport and the date, you'll see all the various contests that we have supported on the platform. As time goes on, we'll increase support for more and more contests, but for now we're trying to aim at the top 7 to 10 contests in terms of entries, and you'll see them all loaded in here for that specific date and sport. You can filter by classic or showdown slates if you want. Then you can filter by specific slates, and you can see a bunch of information here, like the entry limits, prize pool, what the fee was, the field size, what the min cash amount was and how many points it got, what the first place amount was, and how much it made, and then the number of points for that as well. You see the winner, and then if you want to see the actual DraftKings link here, you would just click it and it would open the contest in DraftKings. So specifically now I'm going to look at my boy Steve, click on the Contest Analyzer, and there's a lot here to cover. So the overview essentially shows you all of the entrants of the contest and a bunch of information for all of their entries. So in the case of Steve here, he entered 50, he cashed in 18 of them, he played $25 total, and his profit was $1,500.50. His best place was obviously number 1. His best score was 206.05. His ROI was insane. The average score of all of his lineups was 106.1. You have your average salary. You have your finishing percentile, and anything you want to look at specifically, you can check out these tooltips here, and you'll get explanations. How many of his lineups were in the top 1%? How many of his lineups were unique? What was the percent of unique lineups? How many were under 5 uniques? Diversity is how many unique players per lineup he used on average. So this is 2.4. And then players used total is how many players he rostered. If you want to compare specific users, you would just do so here. So if I wanted to put in, Steve here, and then I wanted to look at, I don't know, let's look at another name I just saw, Aquafina Tim. You could do so just by selecting the players and seeing it, and this will translate across all the different tabs in here. And then if you also want to save a group of players, let's say you want to track specific pros over multiple sports, multiple slates, multiple dates, you essentially would just put in all the users you want, hit save group, name it, and then save it. And then next time, as opposed to having to put in all the various users, you would just load a group here, which is in this option here. Click it. I guess because I just loaded it, I would need to refresh, but you would click this and it would load those users. Another cool thing you can do is you can look at the max enterers of a contest. This is great for looking at pros and looking at the flagship contests. Max enterers allows you to see filter down to all of the people that entered the full amount of lineups. Moving on from the overview, you then have an ownership tab. The ownership tab allows you to see all of the ownerships of the field. You can see some key stats like the salary, the team, the position, the actual points that the player scored, their value, how much they were owned within this contest. Then we have our projection, how off we were or how on we were on the projection, the ownership, our ownership, and then the difference between the actual and the hero own as well. Again, here you can compare specific users and filter by players. So if I wanted to see how Steve's ownership compared to the field, I would put him in and I'd see Steve's ownership across all of his lineups and how much different he was to the field. I can put in multiple players here and drill down and sort and see kind of how specific players took specific stands. If I wanted to just look at a specific player, for specific players or users, I can just search them here and you can see kind of how the differences were. Moving on from player ownership here, which is the first sub-tab, we then have team stacks. Team stacks allows you to see what team and what stack type were used for the field, and then the ownership that the specific users had of that stack type as well. You can see things like the average score of that specific stack type, the average profit, the ROI, the top 1%, the cash rate, what the average placement was, and what the best placement was as well. So if you want to see, for example, what was the highest ROI stack, for a 5-man, it was a Baltimore stack, and for the 2-man, it was an Atlanta stack. This allows you to kind of drill down and see which teams were the best, which stacks were the best, so you can see how you could have done different and where the field was right or wrong. Again, you can filter here by specific teams if you want to see specifically what a certain pro or a set of pros did, or even yourself, for example. The last one here in the sub-tab is stack type. So this allows you to see the actual stack types that were used. And you can then again see what the field ownership was for the stack type and also which one was the highest ROI. So in this case, a 4-man stack was the most ROI overall. And then also compare, obviously, to how the field was. So Steve in this case was 5-2s, 5-3s only. And yeah, again, various metrics here that you can utilize. You can filter by stack types right up here, just like you would for players in the other tabs. So if you want to look at specifically 5-mans or 5-2s, 5s, 5-3s, you can do so like that. Moving on to insights. Insights is a way for you to understand kind of tendencies. So the way this works is you choose a cohort up here. So it analyzes the top X% of lineups in that specific contest, and it gives you certain tendencies that those lineups had versus the field. So if I switch to top 1%, I can see that the top 1% of lineups had 84.9% Henderson, whereas the field only had 23% Henderson. So there's a 61% difference there in terms of how heavy you needed to be to get a top 1% finish for, with Gunnar Henderson. So this allows you to kind of, again, understand how the field is in comparison to certain affinities or certain, players that help push to those upper tier cohorts. In the next sub-tab here, not as important for MLB, but you can see dupes. So in this specific view for MMA, for example, or golf or whatever, showdowns, etc., you'd be able to see how many unique users use the specific lineup, how profitable or how much ROI that lineup had, and what the best placement was. You can also look at like salary distributions and see kind of where the concentration was for the salaries in terms of most duplicates. And also the fun one, see how many people forgot to roster. The last one here is the actual leaderboard. So I'm going to X out of all this. With the leaderboard tab, you can see the full leaderboard. You can see all of the various places, how many entries, the amount won for that entry, what the profit was, how many dupes that specific lineup had, a bunch of other stats here, and then the actual lineup itself over here. So if you wanted to filter down by specific players, let's go to Henderson lineups. You'd be able to see kind of what specific players used Henderson in their lineups and how they constructed their lineup around Henderson, for example. You could also put in a specific player and see, for example, Steve was very heavy Henderson in this contest, and that's why he did so well. So just great way to just see various specifics around the actual lineups. And then you can also filter by specific stacks if you want and see like all of the 5-man Baltimore, which were the highest ROI, who had them, what kind of lineups did they roster, etc. That's it in a nutshell. It's an 11-minute video, so not really a nutshell. One last thing I want to share is that just like you can select other users, you can also select yourself and see how your performance was versus the field. We've made it very easy for you. In the view account area, we now have a place for you to put in your DraftKings username and your FanDuel username. So when you put in your usernames, those will automatically pull through for you as opposed to having to type in your name every single time. If you were in that contest, we will automatically create a column for you with all of your information. So that's it on the contest analyzer. I hope you guys find this useful. It's one of the most important tools for becoming a better DFS player. Make it a habit of going back every single morning, checking out your contests, seeing how certain people that you aspire to be or like how they roster, try to understand what they're doing night in, night out, try to understand tendencies of those players, and just start shaping your strategy based on learnings that you get from past contests. Reach out if you guys have any questions. Very excited to get this out there, and we hope you enjoy it. Thanks a lot.